All right, we are live. What is going on, everybody? We haven't had a stream in quite some times. I think we're probably going to start doing some more streams on the channel. But in today's video and live stream, we are going to be jumping into the prediction market trenches. There are so many things you can delve into, from politics, sports, culture, music, entertainment. You can literally predict the weather. So you can find so many different edges across the prediction market landscape. And we're going to be diving in, giving some predictions, because honestly, when the crypto market gets tricky, this is one of the best places to jump in and actually be able to utilize a little bit of an advantage and be able to trade literally anything. So without further ado, let's jump into the prediction markets. And as usual, before we jump into the content, be sure to drop down below, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel. It helps us get this in front of more crypto enthusiasts and also prediction market traders just like yourself. And also, we're going to be diving into so many different markets on today's show. So if you want to ask questions, if there's something you want me to look at as far as a certain market, I'm very happy to jump into it, give opinions. I want this to be a super interactive show because we're going to be doing one or two of these every single week on prediction markets. So definitely, light up the chat with any questions or markets you guys are interested in. And also a big shout out to Kalshi. So these streams are sponsored and really just powered by Kalshi. You can actually hit the link down below in the description and you can get 10 free dollars if you deposit $10. So pretty fair offer. They'll double your deposit if you deposit and play $10. So you can check out Kalshi in the link down below in the description if you want to follow along with the action. What is going on, RE Broker, Gorilla, Jorge, everybody in the chat? If you guys are coming to Art Basel, by the way, let me know. Happy to make my little stroll down into Miami. But let's just go ahead and jump into it, guys. If you're somehow not familiar, if you're living under a rock, South Park did a full episode on prediction markets. Everyone is really diving into this, and it's kind of like a gold rush. If we look at it, Kalshi is literally one of the biggest growing companies in the entire world. I've never seen something rapidly catch fire like this. I mean, Polymarket has had, a really good grip on this for quite some time, especially dating back to last year's election. But the valuation on Kalshi has literally doubled in the last 3 months. It's pretty incredible to see the growth here. They just raised $1 billion at an $11 billion valuation. So this narrative is not going away. And it's definitely something we are going to want to trade and be able to jump in and try to find an advantage in these markets. Well, Jorge, shoot me a text and I will definitely come through, my friend. And even CNN, if we remember last year on the Polymarket side, they literally went under a probe because of the information and the edge that they felt like the Polymarket data had, that when Trump was elected as president, they knew the results of the election, they said all this stuff. And now we literally see news sources, some of the most popular in the world, like CNN, jumping in and saying, hey, we're going to embrace prediction markets. We're going to jump in here and we're going to have our data powered by Kalshi. This morning, there were literal predictions on the screen on CNN. It's actually crazy to see how much fire this has caught. And even from like a month ago, whenever we saw the prediction market show from South Park, I feel like that almost lit a fire. But underneath that, it's just been crazy to see the growth in this, especially given where the investment markets are. The stock market has been iffy. The crypto market has been iffy. And also, I'm happy to answer crypto questions throughout this stream, but for the most part, we're trying to find an advantage to be able to jump in here and win across prediction markets. Good play on CNN's behalf, TBH. Fox better pick up Polymarket, right? I mean, I don't know. It's definitely going to be, there is honestly not much better data than what these prediction markets have started to flow. And yeah, Gorilla, they have announced that they are now powered fully on chain as well with Solana. Let me find that announcement. I think it was just a couple days ago. They have a $2 million grant for builders underneath as well. Kalshi and Solana, thousands of markets now tokenized. So if you're watching the show, this is also integrated very much with crypto. So if you want to get involved, you can utilize crypto fully top to bottom. And of course, being this is the first live stream doing this, what can you predict? What markets can you trade? And also, how does this work? Do you have to wait on a result to be able to potentially cash out or be able to win on a trade, right? Let's just say in perps trading, like we talk about all the time in crypto, you get in, you have a 25% gain. Maybe in your head, you would like a 70% gain, but you're okay taking that 25% off the table. You can do that here. So let's just click on the first market and we'll kind of just give an example. So you see who will be elected as the president of Honduras this year. You can see 𝗪𝗛𝗪𝗃. I have no clue if I'm butchering the name. So if you're from Honduras, I'm sorry. But 𝗪𝗛𝗪 is at 71%. Let's just say he gets, a lot of momentum over the course of the next few months or whenever this election is. See, I'm not going to say I'm an expert in this political climate. However, if he was to trend up to 80 cents, 85 cents, 90 cents, you can sell your position even before the election results come out. So it is exactly like trading during a sports match. Okay. For example, I will go to my portfolio here quickly. There is a game currently on, and for restriction purposes, we cannot put this on the screen. But right now, Arsenal is playing Brentford in the English Premier League. So as you can see here, we'll click on this match and pull this up here. Arsenal and Brentford. So they're up 1-0. I had bought contracts on this at 70 cents. So 71 cents is where I got filled. As of right now, they're at 85 cents. If I wanted to exit this position in profit, I could do that right now. So this is not what you've seen from, let's just say, examples, FanDuel, Prize Picks, DraftKings. This is not even close to that, because you can trade these markets actively, get out of positions at certain times, and actually play them extremely strategically. So when people make that comparison, you can find so much more of an edge here than if you're, playing on those other platforms, let's just say, in a more, risky manner. You can literally do the research and put in the work and find an edge on Kalshi. So we'll be monitoring that trade. I obviously wouldn't take Arsenal at 85 cents, given the fact we got in at 70 cents. But what we can do is dive into a couple of markets that are going on tonight and tomorrow. And then I'll obviously look into any different markets that you guys want to go into on the chat. And I'm not sure, I would need to open up quickly on my phone. I'm just going to pull up my Twitter feed just in case there's comments over there, because I'm only seeing YouTube, but I just want to double check that I'm getting all the comments through the show. Let's see here. All right, perfect. I got it pulled up if they come through. So let's just jump in to some stuff over the next 24 hours. So for me, I've been really crushing it in basketball. Right now, there's college basketball, NBA every single day. I feel like there's not much of an edge in hockey, American football, obviously, but it's not every single day. You can find an edge on basketball every single day if you're really privy to that. So let's just go over to sports real quick, and we will take a look at tonight. We will start with pro basketball. And even with pro basketball, I'm willing to take on a heavier favorite if it's, almost if the edge is extremely in your favor. So you can compare odds across different things if you want to backtrack on traditional platforms versus the percentage of a team to win. But for the most part, when it comes to taking heavy favorites in basketball, I'm really just looking for that ROI percentage. Let's just say, for example, there is one game tonight that I almost think there's no certainties in anything, right? But I almost think it's Houston is going to probably come out on top against Sacramento tonight. So if you're just an edge trader and they're giving you 91 cents, it's a heavy bargain, but you put $100 and you win $9. That's a 9% trade in 3 hours, if you think of it that way. So that is one I'm not taking. I don't want to take that much juice. And juice means it's pretty pricey, close to that mark where it's almost not worth the risk, because if you lose that, that is a pretty heavy loss on just a 9% gain. But that's how I would start terming it in your mind. Whenever I'm trading prediction markets, I'm looking at it as, if I want to have a 9% ROI in the next 3 hours, that's something I might look into, right? It is an option for those people who are willing to take that heavier risk for a less payout, but you can build up your account like that very, very easily. But there are games with lower percentages that I really like tonight. So let's just take a look across the board here, and I'll go over every game and my predictions here, but I'm going to only give select picks. So just be aware, I am not taking all of these. I am going to go over them. I'm going to go over exactly my thoughts, which way I would lean, if I would get involved with it or not. So starting at the top, Denver and Indiana. Denver has cost me the most money on prediction markets. I really don't like taking Denver whatsoever. They have lost 3 over the last 2 weeks when they were 70% or higher. So right now, until Denver finds its form, I'm definitely not going to get involved there. I would say tonight I like Cleveland. So Cleveland at 82 is a little bit pricey. So just for those who aren't so privy, 100 would return you 119. So this is 19% on your money. That's actually not horrible. This is one I'm probably willing to take a stab at for a 19% gain on my money, considering the fact that last night Portland played. So there's a back-to-back. They had to travel. So they played a game last night. They have to travel. They're going into a different city, and they came out of Canada. So they still have to, there is like a process in that, even for sports players. So late night last night, getting into Cleveland, and now I think their best player's out. Jrue Holiday is, I think, listed as a game time decision or out. So for me, I actually like Cleveland tonight. This is one I'm probably willing to take a stab on. I'm actually going to throw that in 100 to win 119. So what that means is I can get a 19% ROI on that selection. I am not afraid to take favorites, only if I do the research and put the work in. I would not just come in here, guys, and start throwing money at all the higher percentage plays. That is definitely not how it works. You will get burned. It is sports. There are times where things happen. But for me, I do like Cleveland in this circumstance, and we will take the 19% gain if they hit at $100 risk. Let's keep going down the ladder here. And Jorge, you're going to like this one. You're going to like this one. I definitely do enjoy tonight. I think the Knicks. I think the Knicks are a good look tonight. If we just pull up the game here, we have game time decision. LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller's out. Their first round draft pick from a couple of weeks ago. Their new rookie player's been playing nice, but at the same time, I just think this is one of those games in a competitive Eastern Conference. The East has actually gotten a lot better with the Magic. The Bulls aren't any pushovers. Detroit's extremely on their game this year. For me, and Miami's playing well. So I think this is one of those games over the course of a season that if the Knicks want to compete, they have to take this one. So for me, at home, I think, and yeah, let me check here. At Madison Square Garden, I am going to look here at the New York Knicks, and that would be a 24% gain on my money. So I'm extremely happy with that. I treat this more like a market, right? So when people go in, a lot of people would say, well, why would you risk that for 24%? Why do you risk your savings account with a bank or a crypto exchange, FTX? Why do you trust them to hold your money for X amount of percentages, right? So you can find ways to boost an AP. You could treat it as an APY return, right? If you just think of it that way, it's changing your mindset on that, because, we all put thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars over the course of our lifetimes into a savings account that nets you 2% a year. And we all think that that's brilliant, right? So at the end of the day, I'm willing to take a stab and take some risks for potentially 20+% on my money in just a couple of hours. The Clippers and the Hawks, I don't like anything in this one. The Clippers just released Chris Paul. I think it's a little weird situation there. Not a game I'm really excited to play on. We have Brooklyn and Chicago. I like Chicago, but they're too pricey for a team that's pretty average. So I'm going to pass on that one. And I would say, Jorge, I think Giannis gets traded. I think that, like, it's one of those things that he is so high demand, and I think he's such a good talent. But right now, his talent's just eroding on the Bucks, and the Bucks really have no. I don't think they have greener pastures in their sights. So for me, no, I do like if we might find some after this. I'll search up if there's a prediction market on the Giannis thing. But otherwise, looking at the next game here, I do like Detroit tonight. Speaking of, I just think right now where the Bucks are at with all this turmoil, I don't know. It's not as high of a confidence play, but I am willing to put 50 to win 26. So a little over a 50% return there. Or yeah, 50% return if I'm winning 26 off that. So we will definitely take that. I'll put 50 there to win 26 on Detroit. And notice, I'm not going extremely hard because it's sports and things happen, okay? Giannis can go off tonight for 50, the Bucks win. You don't want to put, insane amount of money on every single game. However, spreading your best, across the table, but also risk management is definitely important in this scenario. And I do have one more in pro basketball tonight. I don't think that Klay Thompson is going to continue his hot streak from last game where they knocked off. I forget who they beat. But for me, I'm definitely looking at Miami tonight. Miami handled Dallas pretty easily the last time they played at home. Yes, it's in Dallas, but this year, Dallas, obviously, they ruined their franchise by trading Luka. So I'm going to go with Miami 50, and that would result me 23. So that would be a 46% gain on my money. So that's how I look at these markets, guys. It is not about, wow, that's not worth it. Like, I'm looking at percentage returns only. Let's see here. Relax. Boston got one lucky win. What's up, Pretzel? Good to see you in the chat. Jorge, let's see here. Giannis. There has to be. There literally has to be a clutch player of the year. Let's see here. Giannis. Like, Giannis trade is what I'm searching here. That is very surprising to me that there's not a market for if Giannis gets traded or the team that he gets traded to. Kalshi, if you're watching, definitely let's put it together because we have some demand in the chat here. And also, guys, like I said, if you want to sign up for Kalshi, get involved. You can literally deposit 10, risk 10 on a trade, and then they will give you $10 back. So it is a pretty easy proposition there. Also looking for whether Chris Paul will play again this year. Maybe there's like a Chris Paul's next team. Man, I will say, Jorge, we might have a new job in our future putting up these sports prediction markets. I don't know. I mean, more than just doing prediction market streams, we could be the prediction market makers here. I'm telling you. I think Chris Paul will. There's no sense in a playoff team not picking him up for just veteran leadership, even if he doesn't play meaningful minutes. So I would predict yes on that, Jorge, that Chris Paul probably does play again. It's his last season too. Like, he could benefit a team from a leadership perspective. That's just my honest opinion. Now, enough with sports. So for the people in the chat that aren't sports fans, okay, I get it. We just rambled on some basketball for a little bit, but that's where I see a lot of edge tonight specifically. And it's one of those things that I'm willing to take a stab at daily. So that's a market that I participate in every single day. Some of the most fun markets, though, across prediction markets are the mention markets. So if you guys have no idea what this is, you can have so much fun on these markets. Let me tell you, let's just make it crypto here. What will Brian Armstrong say during the New York Times Deal Book Summit? You can, and I think this already resulted. Yeah, this was earlier today, I believe. So you can see here, he said prediction market. He said Bitcoin. I think that's a pretty standard one. Delaware, Ethereum, And he didn't say stuff like tokenized equity, Dogecoin, meme coin, etc. I believe this was this morning. I saw a clip of this already. So I think that this one's already resulted. Is there a Mr. Beast mention market? I think there is. Here we are. What will Mr. Beast say during the New York Times Deal Book Summit? I believe this is today. So let me, on my iPad on the side, I'm going to see if we can maybe maneuver some live here, because the odds are changing pretty rapidly, and it looks like it's in 25 minutes. Okay. Well, I plan to go for around an hour today. That was kind of my my thought process. Depending on rules will result in a no. There's no live stream, huh? NYT Deal Book Summit. I don't see a live stream. You're correct. Oh, Mr. Beast going viral. 6 watching by the New York Times. It just popped up. There's only 6 people on this. Oh, he's speaking right now. He is speaking at this moment in time. You can look on New York Times. For some reason, I do not see the subtitles though on this. So we will definitely we'll definitely monitor this. But just going across, feastable. If he says feastables, does that count? I would have to think so. Challenge is probably a decent one. I want to see Hustle go all in on a trade. Not on a mention market for sure. There will be times I'm willing to go, all in on a certain trade. Don't get me wrong. So I think this is fine because it's on YouTube. So I have it here, but I don't have closed captioning on. So I'm watching Mr. Beast talk at this currently, but I don't have, there's no subtitles. So Gorilla's the Kalshi quant. Yeah, he's putting reels out on his Instagram about prediction markets. The guy's a Chad. If you want to trade live right now, Trump does have an announcement today. That is also correct. Let's go see here. It has to be. What will Trump say during his announcement? Let's see here. I mean, does anyone know what this announcement's about? So I'm super not into the political mentions. Whenever I first got on prediction markets, I really tried my hardest to find an edge, but it was definitely not my market. Yes, Jesus, millions, billions, trillions. My economy, best economy. Businesses grow in the billions every day. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. Yes. We employ so many people. We give so many a boost to the economy. Oh, they have the live thing at the top here on Kalshi. Given this is the first stream, I know you're allowed to. I want to skate by the rules and make sure that we don't go too crazy on the first one. Once I get more guidance here, though, I'm pretty sure we can watch these Trump things together and also navigate the mentions together for future streams. So I'm nearly 100% that that's allowed, but there's definitely things that aren't allowed. Like we can't sit here and watch a sports game and live trade it or whatever the case is. Yeah, so he's definitely going right now. Sleepy Joe at 45%. The things that actually Trump ends up saying randomly, it is kind of funny. Trillion is free money. They seem to think so. Trillion at 89%. I mean, should I go in on the trillion? I don't know. Bro, live a little. I mean, it's on top of Kalshi, and it's just me watching another YouTube. However, I don't know. Trillion is probably free money. I mean, this guy sure does love his economy. So he said EV and gasoline, trillion, maybe $1 trillion industry, EV, gasoline. I'm not sure. I don't know. 89% is just kind of juicy. for me to now it's at 88, 87. I could probably at least pull it up here and get some closed captioning. Hang on. Trump live announcement. Sean, what's going on, my friend? Good to see you on the stream. We're potentially live mention marketing on Trump's announcement. It's the car industry is a very interesting business. I want to thank. Okay. Secretary, transport. It's about transportation or something. Trillion now at 80%. Okay. I don't know. Maybe we have an angle here. I mean, how does this guy not say trillion? I mean, is he gonna say China? Fake news? Why would he say fake news in this? Why would he say fake news in this announcement? I'm putting, yeah, I put 50 on fake news at 61 cents. Why would he say fake news? He's talking about the automotive industry. Why? I'm just not going to go heavy on these because it's mention markets in politics, and I really have no idea. So totally not my thing. However, but it's just an announcement. Is it a press conference or an announcement? You know what? Paula, Rand watches Trump and Powell speak on his shows all the time, right? All right. It's on the top of the Kalshi thing. We're going. I'm living a little. Here we go. California communist, he said. Well, he clowned Biden there, and he didn't say fake news. This is a fantastic development. He said trillion. That's like free money anytime he speaks. If millions, trillions, billions. Do we think he says China? Is because he said he's talking about the car industry, EV, gasoline. Dang it! He just said China. Oh, that was rough timing. I literally, dang, I would have gone in on China if I could have chat GPT'd real quick. Trillions. If you can't hear this, I think if I share my screen with audio, I can make it happen. 1 second. Let me exit my screen share. I literally said, I think he might say China, and then boom, said China. And then you guys couldn't hear it. That's a bummer. Okay. All right, hold on. Technical error. Share screen. Window. To share audio, share a tab instead. Okay, you got it. Sharing tab.
Very important. Only to afford high quality cars. In other words, we're bringing automobiles back and the manufacturing of automobiles back into this country. We lost 52% over the years, 52% of our automobile manufacturing. You see it, closed factories all over the place. Now they're all opening up. They're being, in most cases, they're being knocked down and new ones are being built in their place. And a big beneficiary is the state of Michigan, but South Carolina, even states that didn't really do too much with the automobiles, they're opening up plants.
And it was like 50, it was
amazing.
Like 60%.
So between automobile plants, AI plants, and plants of every other nation, really every other type, including chips, we're going to have a big percentage of the chip market
right now,
very soon.
Trading
not because of the CHIPS Act, which was horrible and ridiculous, where we just gave these companies billions and billions of dollars, and they just kept the money. But because of what we did with tariffs, they have to build here, otherwise they're going to have to pay tariffs. They won't be able to do business in the United States. And we're going to have a big percentage of the chip industry. As of about a year ago, 2 years ago, we had none. And now we're going to have a very big percentage when it all finishes out. So I'd like to ask Secretary Duffy to speak, and then Mr. Farley, and then Filosa, and 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏, and 𝗕𝗃𝗲𝗏. And also we're going to ask some of our political leaders to speak, because let me tell you, they went out of their way. This was not easy. And people were brainwashed.
Fake news is in the clear, boys.
This is a green news scam. And people were paying too much for a car that didn't work as well. And now they're going to have a great car that's going to be environmentally friendly, but it's going to cost you a lot less, and it's going to work great. All of the nonsense is being taken out of the cars. So, Secretary Duffy, could you say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. President. So yesterday at the cabinet meeting,
he said scam and not fake news. This is great.
And the way that Democrats talk about affordability
great word choice, Mr. Trump.
Today is a perfect example of that. So these CAFE standards used what was contrary to the law. The Congress set a rule that says you have to look at combustion engines. Biden and 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 actually did an analysis using 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏. I'm sorry. 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
This is where it's a risk. He's going to just say something impulsively after another congressperson here says something. He's going to know that's fake news, and then we're going to get screwed.
Is completely unattainable. So they spent a lot of money on technology trying to meet the unattainable standard, driving up the cost of a car, number one. And then number two, if they couldn't meet the unattainable standard, they had to trade
where we get absolutely
cooked, costing billions of dollars, and again, driving up the price of the cost. Mr. President, what Democrats were doing, we're not making cars more affordable. They're making them less affordable.
Problem is, Jesus,
the consequence of that is going to be that more Americans
can
afford to buy a new car,
he'll make fun of Biden,
which means they're going to be safer on the roads because of all the great new technology we have that save lives. So we'll have less death on American roads. These rules are going to allow the automakers to make vehicles that Americans want to purchase, not vehicles that Joe Biden and 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 wants them to build, which is important. But also, this is important for American jobs. The more cars we sell, the more jobs we have in this country. And so this is jobs, this is freedom, and this is common sense, Mr. President. So thank you for your leadership. And I appreciate what the Senate did with the big, beautiful bill and what we've done here today. So thank you
very much. A big, beautiful bill is it's something. It's amazing. Wait till people see the benefits and the lower taxes that they're going to have, lower regulations. So how about Ford?
Mr. President, Secretary, all the important lawmakers here, competitors, today is a victory of common sense and affordability.
I think
we're very proud of Ford to be the number one auto.
I don't want to move on off of it. Maybe I keep the audio going.
Of vehicles we sell here we make in our country, and we never left, unlike many of our competitors. We're the number one exporter, and we have the most auto factory workers. And this CAFE standard that is aligned with customer demand is the right move for a lot of reasons. We were number 2 last year in EV sales. We were number 3 in hybrid, and we're the leading brand for combustion. We believe that people should be able to make a choice, as you said, Mr. President, and we will invest more in affordable vehicles. This allows us to invest.
I'm going to move along praying that this man does not call something fake news.
For making this step for all of you.
It's a risk. This man,
one
he'll
of the
say
other
anything.
things we're doing, it's separate from this meeting, but I think everybody here would agree with it. If you go to Japan, where I just left, and if you go to South Korea and Malaysia and other countries, they have a very small car, sort of like the Beetle used to be with the Volkswagen. They're very small. They're really cute. And I said, how would that do in this country? And everyone seems to think good, but you're not allowed to build them. And I've authorized the secretary to immediately approve the production of those cars. So you'll be able to buy they really are, they're actually, some of them are really beautiful, actually. If you take a look,
Oh, come on,
Honda,
don't say it.
some of the Japanese companies do a beautiful job, but we're not allowed to make them in this country. And I think you're going to do very well with those cars. So we're going to approve those cars. Would you like to say something about that?
Well, no, just that he never stops working. So even when he's on Asian time, he's calling me at midnight in the States. But he gave me the directive to clear the regulations on this, which we have. And so if Toyota or any other company wants to make smaller, more affordable cars,
I think we're looking pretty decent here.
We have cleared the deck so they can make them in America and sell them in America.
They're really nice and less expensive. And it really gives people a chance to have a car, have a brand new car as opposed to a car that maybe isn't so great. And so you car companies start thinking about that. I think it's going to be a tremendous market. Please, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great day for us.
Okay. I'm going to shut down the Trump for now. And I think we should be in the clear, but you never know with this guy. But we were just jumping into mention markets and he started going live. So it was pretty good timing there. So you can see how engaging that can be. If you're new to prediction markets, like this type of thing is so much fun to just jump in, trade, try to find an edge on. Obviously, if the second he started talking about automotives, I've figured, why would he say fake news? Still hasn't come through as a win, but why would he say fake news about the automotive stuff, about some transition? We should have gone China, but whatever. But one of the mention markets I love, and especially for the fact that you guys can tell I'm a sports fan. Obviously, we talked about sports at the beginning as far as some things we're taking over the next 24 hours. But tomorrow night, we have what will the announcers say during the Dallas and Detroit football game. So I love these, especially if you're aware of the standings or what's going on in the league, all that different stuff. And as you can see here, some of them are near guarantees. Obviously, I think that you're going to hear the word Super Bowl, but I'm not trading that. It's at 94%. Why would they say Super Bowl? Detroit does have Super Bowl aspirations. They have a, really good team. They're kind of on the struggling side right now. And also, of course, Dallas hasn't been to the Super Bowl infamously in 30 years. So I think the likelihood they say the word Super Bowl is pretty high, right? And saying the word safety is usually always the case, whether they say safety in the term of a player who plays the position safety or a safety that is, the 2-point play in football. So they would probably say that. But I don't like going that heavy on a big risk like that. As far as like you put $100, just for example, guys, if you put 100 on 98 cents that they say safety, you win $1. Like I'm definitely not in here for saving account level APRs. Like I want to at least outdo the mean investment account or savings account in the US. So what I'm liking for tomorrow, and one that I really like playing on every, you have to do your research first of all. But as you can see here, let's go to ChatGPT. So tomorrow's game is at Ford Field. So what I'm going to do actually, so we can see part of the process, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to reshare so I can share my window since we're not listening to Trump at this point in time. We'll go share. So what type of grass do the Detroit Lions play on? So we can see here, ChatGPT is a synthetic turf called Field Turf Core. previously, Field Turf Classic HD. And then if for some reason they don't say it about the Detroit field, what about Dallas Cowboys field? So this game's in Detroit, so this probably won't even be a factor. But at the same time, they also play on synthetic turf. On top of this, when players get injured, a lot of the times they get injured on turf. So just going to point this out. One of the players on Detroit, he got ruled out for the next 4 weeks. He got hurt playing on turf. So they might mention the turf being an issue, or just he got his feet down on the turf, whatever the case is for a catch. I love playing turf. Turf is one of my favorite mention markets in football. So I'm going to go ahead and just put 50 to win 72. So that's about a 44% gain on that if we were to take that home. So that is one I definitely do like as far as this game. Moving on down the line, we can see here there's overtime, stuffed, what a catch, Hail Mary, roughing the passer, concussion protocol. You could get nitty gritty if a player's on concussion protocol on a team, or they just passed concussion protocol. There's a lot of ways you can find some edges on these markets. I'm just going to take turf, low risk, but turf usually does pay off in games like this, especially when both teams play on turf. I don't see a situation where the announcers don't mention the word turf, at least during the course of this game. So let's go ahead and go back to the Kalshi homepage. And also let's check in on our Trump position. Just, let's just see here. Portfolio. It's going to be interesting to see where this is now. All right, fake news. Recently we bought in at 62 or 63 cents, as you can see here. 63 cents on our position on Trump not saying the words fake news. And right now our position is well up. We are trading at 80% on no, which is fantastic. So we are looking pretty good there, but Trump just keeps on running his mouth. I can see on my iPad over here. So we are not in the clear on that at this point in time, but it is something I am going to be watching. And like I said, if you're watching on YouTube and even on future shows on Twitter, I'm going to start dropping the link down below. You can get a free $10 for depositing 10 and playing 10 on Kalshi using our link down below in the description. There's one more market I want to just take a quick look at before we start wrapping up the show. And also, if any of you guys want me to look at any specific markets, I will go ahead and do that as well. But there is one that I thought was pretty interesting. If I can get this to load. There we go. Should be good. All right. So we are going to go passing yards leader. There we go. All right. So this is one I think is really interesting. So Dak Prescott is the favorite at 39 cents. Now these pay out well. So when you're going under 50% on something, let's say you play 50, it would return you 121. So it's over 100% gain if you were to convert on these types of bets, or on these types of plays. If you look here, Drake May is the leader currently at 3,412. And Dak Prescott has played one less game. So this is where this comes in. Dak Prescott has played one less game than Drake May, and currently only sits 151 yards behind Drake May. If we look at the schedules here, let's go to Dak Prescott, and we should go to the Cowboys. Here we go, Dallas. And let's click on their schedule. We can see here, they're going to have to throw the ball a lot against Detroit. I think the Detroit game is going to be a high-scoring game. I think that the Vikings defense is just not very good. I think they'll probably have a great night here on offense against the Chargers. They're going to have to pass the ball against two division opponents, and especially with Jackson Dart on the Giants, and the fact that the Cowboys have to win every single game to close out this season if they want to come out on top and get into the playoffs. I think Dak Prescott finishes off probably the best year of his season. I'm going to take it. 50 to win 121 on Dak Prescott, because a lot of people would still be putting money on Drake May. But the big caveat to that is he's only 150 yards ahead, and he has played one extra game. And we go look at his schedule to finish out the year, and it actually is much tougher on the opponent side. So we see here they have the Bills. This week is the Patriots bye week, so they won't play. So this week, Dak Prescott should inevitably pass him in passing yards. We see here Bills, Ravens, Jets, and Dolphins. The Jets and Dolphins would be games he could definitely run it up. But let's just say they win the next two games. They inevitably lock up the #1 seed in their conference. So I like Dak Prescott. I really think that's a great trade here. I think I already took it, but I'll double up if it. Oh, there we go. Okay. So 50 to return 121. So there we go. Those are the main plays that I am looking at right now. Some of them play out in the next 12 hours. Some of them play out over the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But that's the thing. You're willing to kind of spread out what you're looking at on timelines and stuff like that. So just to recap, right now we're still actively on the no for fake news from Donald Trump. We'll see. Hopefully he does not come through and say fake news. We see, what will the announcers say during the Cowboys and Lions game? I'm saying yes, that they will say turf. And then in basketball tonight, I have Cleveland, Detroit, the Knicks. And then also I have the Miami Heat. And then for pro football passing yards leader this season, I am taking Dak Prescott, which would return me over double my money. So is it only between those two QBs? I mean, if we are to look at the yardage here, no, because you have Pat Mahomes, but to be honest, the Cowboys offense is just much more high volume of passing. As we can see here, they have had similar attempts, but it's because KC's been having to come from behind in a lot of games. If I was to play anyone, it would be Pat Mahomes and Dak Prescott for sure. And you could, that's the beauty of prediction markets. And that's a great point to point out. If we go look at the market here, let's say you want to hedge, right? You think that, okay, Pat Mahomes could potentially lead the league in passing, which is incredibly possible. Like that could happen. You could put 50 here and also hedge out and come out on top $25, or actually, yeah, $25 in the green, even by placing on two sides between Dak Prescott and Pat Mahomes. And if you really think that Drake May is going to hold on to it, 50 for him returns 170. So yeah, great call out there, Gorilla. On these markets, you don't have to always be right. You can play two different sides, especially in this scenario, and you can win on your on the ROI side, regardless if one of your plays ends up losing. So last thing I'm going to do is go check on my fake news. How are we looking on fake news? Please, Donald. Please don't say fake news, my man. Let's see. All right. Well, we're looking good here. Yeah, we're looking good. I could offload the position, but I'm not going to play this as a trade. It's our first Kalshi live stream. I want to see this one through. I want to see if he says fake news, which I pray that he does not. Reading some subtitles here. I guess we could throw on the audio again, but we are coming towards that hour mark. And just for the first live stream that we are doing, we'll probably keep it under an hour. On the future ones, we might plan them around things like this, things like a Trump speech or something like that. So that way it's just fun, engaging. Everyone's kind of throwing out their predictions and mentions and stuff like that. So we will definitely kind of maybe structure this to where I can give predictions over the course of a few days, but also we have a mention market to kind of tune into, trade live, etc. But just to recap, guys, prediction markets, this is probably the most fun I've had in quite some time. Like crypto over the course of time, yes, I have a ton of fun in crypto, and I think it's one of the most interesting industries and markets in the entire world. I think Bitcoin is the future. in some ways of finance, right? Well, I think we all do if we're watching this channel. But at the same time, it's not always positive ROI to trade perps every single day, long and short the market, especially when the market's so tricky at a point in time like this. So this is one of those things where you can start finding an edge if you know certain topics. If you want to, you could have done trades on Spotify Wrapped today on who were the top artists of the year, or who had the most streams, whatever the case is. So there's endless possibilities on these platforms for you to get involved with. And of course, we will be doing this, like I said, once or twice a week, just schedule depending, and also event depending. If there's a big speech like this, we'll definitely go live and talk about them and trade them live. And also we'll just have some general prediction market streams. So guys, that is going to wrap up today. Like the video down below and subscribe to the channel. And you can check out Kalshi in the link down below in the description. For those of you watching on X, YouTube, we appreciate it as always. And we'll see you on the next one. As always, trade responsibly, stay bullish, and play well, my friends.